Right now, it's my pleasure. I texted him last minute, and he's always there for me. My guy, Larry Holder of The Athletic. The Athletic just hitting 1 million subscribers, by the way. Athletic.com/hold that podcast for $1 a month sign up deal. Check it out. Larry, what's up, dude? Thanks for joining us on this post NFL Week 1 Monday. How you feeling?
I'm good, thanks. And I mean, Ernie Conwell and Dan Arnold, is that really a debate? I mean, Conwell was in the league for like many, many years. Dan Arnold was known for like dropping a touchdown once in an NFC Championship
Okay,
game.
but hold on now. Dan Arnold's on the Cardinals now. Okay, so not so
Yeah,
fast.
barely.
Yeah, not so fast there, Larry. Okay. Larry Holder, host Duncan Holder podcast, writes for the Athletic. He's just excellent. Let's start with the Saints, Larry. What was your takeaway with the win over Tampa? Like, what was your kind of main story nugget that you took away from yesterday's performance?
Well, that the Saints, even though they won by 11 and it could have been by 18, that they didn't play their best.
Yeah.
And yet, look, I do feel like that the Saints needed that win more than maybe Tampa, just
Yep.
because if the Saints, more prepared team, more cohesive team, if they would have lost to a team that's playing really their first game together, I think that would have been trouble. And the Saints needed to establish that they're still the class of the NFC South. They're the only ones who won yesterday. And if the Saints can chop away some of these pass interference penalties, which I feel like some of them were just Tom Brady taking shots, some of them that I wasn't a fan of some of those calls, that they will be just as good as we expect. But look, I do think the offense definitely one of their rougher outings that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, and obviously that's almost like you could flip that into a good thing because you know the offense will get it together. But it was a bit confusing. Like even the layman yesterday could recognize that the Saints' play calling was a bit odd, right? They kept trying to get to the edge, even though Levante David and Devin White clearly had the speed to stop that. It seemed like they kind of struggled to adjust. And then in the postgame, Sean Payton says, it was one of my worst games ever called, essentially. How do you interpret that friction there? Why did the play calling seem to be so off?
Well, I think that Sean Payton, when he faces Tampa, is almost programmed. Look, I don't want to run up the middle, and they were a very good team defending the run last year. Obviously, they're still good at it, and he figured, okay, Kamara's healthy. We don't necessarily trust what we got going up the gut. I mean, look, no Cesar Ruiz, Nick Easton's having to play, Anders Pete playing his first game in a while, and we saw some rough moments from him. That they don't totally trust running the ball up the middle, especially with Kamara. So they figured, all right, let's try to go on the outside. He had 4 tackles for a loss behind the line of scrimmage. And look, it was definitely something where even when Taysom Hill was running, I mean, look, they saw those plays coming a good bit as well. And so, I just think that they were able to take that away and 3 and outs and just weren't as prolific. Good thing Saints had good special teams. Good thing they had some opportune plays on defense because if they wouldn't have got those, who knows what we would have been talking about right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, yesterday's performance looked like validation of everything that y'all wrote about coming out of camp. That secondary playing spectacular. Jackrabbit showing you the value that he can bring to this team with the pick 6. I mean, he doesn't get better than that. But what about another defensive player that it's odd, Larry, because I think we all knew that he was productive and good, but really stepped up when his opportunity came. But how about the game that Trey Hendrickson put together yesterday?
Look, T-Bob, I've been on with you talking about, people were talking about Jadeveon Clowney, this, that, and the other, and I refer back to my pass rush audit story that I wrote probably 2 months ago now, where Trey Hendrickson had stats as equivalent and even a little bit better in times for some guys like Jadeveon Clowney, and I think he just showed you that he was able to make it happen, and I think that him going up against someone like Donovan Smith from the Bucks. It's funny, Cam Jordan has kind of picked and made fun of Donovan Smith for not being that good and being overpaid. And Trey Hendrickson was the matchup with him, and Trey Hendrickson showed that, look, he's a viable piece. And I do think that whenever Marcus Davenport can get back on the field, you have those two in a rotation, you could be in good shape. But yeah, Trey Hendrickson, I mean, he was definitely a factor, whether it was not just sacking, but getting pressure and affecting and maybe making Tom Brady move off of his spot, this, that, the other. He definitely, as the game went on, made him uncomfortable, and something that look, I think Saints fans should be thankful that the Saints at least have that kind of depth at the end.
Yeah, and Hendrickson also in the Grit Hall of Fame for the no gloves approach. Feels so naked without gloves. How about this? Like, how about we're talking to Larry Holder at Larry Holder on Twitter, but how about the importance? Do you think, or maybe they're not? Like, what's your take on seeing Alvin Kamara sign the big contract and then have such a direct impact in a big spot here in Week 1?
I think that's exactly what you need, and I think, look, if you look at Alvin Kamara's numbers, and I'm doing kind of a dive on Drew Brees' day, Alvin Kamara's day, and Michael Thomas's day, that's going to be up by the end of the morning on The Athletic. You look at outside of touchdowns, Kamara's day was rough.
Yeah,
so
it was very
getting
rough.
him into the end zone, scoring, look, that's what he was known more for than anything else in his first 2 years, whether he could do it rushing or receiving, hitting the end zone. And so, like, numbers are, you're not going to always have 100 yards rushing, 100-yard receiving. I mean, that's not Kamara's thing. He does those in the combo deal. You want him hitting the end zone, and that's what he did twice and almost 3 times. And so, like, that is what exactly you're paying him to do, and it's exactly what he did. And even on a rough day, he did that twice and almost 3 times. So if he's having a good day, I'd say look out, NFL.
What was Emmanuel Sanders like after the game? Here he is. He's in New Orleans, new face, a lot of hype around him, and then he gets the big touchdown late. How did you feel Sanders was on the end of his debut in the black and gold?
Yeah, that pass interference deep play, I mean, Drew kind of threw it up to him. So you got to actually kind of give him credit for that, for going up and then being interfered with.
Yeah.
But, yeah, look, it's funny. He was the 3rd highest snap count at wide receiver. Traquan Smith actually saw a good bit more snaps, but that's because Traquan Smith is now their primary blocker, and in run game, and obviously they tried to run the ball a good bit, so he was in there. But Sanders, I do think that, getting the touchdown and getting acclimated, and, it was going to take a minute, first live action, but for him to get in there and get in, look, he's getting a touchdown and an off day for Mike Thomas.
Yep.
So, the fact that you have Jared Cook can get open, Kamara scores twice, Emmanuel Sanders can get a touchdown. Look, these are the things that we're seeing. Look, they put up, the offense will put up 27. So, Jack Rabbit put up the other 6 or 7. So, to have someone like Sanders, that's exactly what you're hoping for. If someone has an off day, all these other pieces can do it, and Sanders is one of them.
Yeah, that Jared Cook deep ball was about as nicely timed as any play I can remember in terms of where the momentum of that game seemed to be going. So Week 1 in the books. Like you said, I think the big takeaway is the Saints, despite not being good offensively, like, it was validation of how good we think the top to bottom roster is, because they look strong all 3 phases of the game. Going into Week 2, traveling to Vegas, open up with that new stadium, Monday Night Football. What do you think the Saints are going to work hardest at to fix this week?
I definitely think it's their offensive efficiency. It's not like the Saints take a bunch of shots, but boy, they just really weren't able to get anything going. And so I think that Las Vegas, even though they won, they did the Saints a favor, but I still think that they're more susceptible than the Bucs. And again, you're going on the road, you're not dealing with a home crowd, so that's equal to what the Saints dealt with this week, and we're still able to win at home, and so Tampa did. But no, I think fixing some things up front. They're probably hoping they get Cesar Ruiz back and try to get that O-line in the top 5 players that they want to have. And so, I think offensively, and then just Sean Payton's mindset of play calling. I think he's going to – if there's ever a self-evaluation week for him,
Yeah.
this is it.
Larry, were you in the dome?
Yes, I was.
Like,
Yes.
do you think there's anything that like you want to expound upon there? Like, was it just how I know it's kind of beat to death here, but just how odd was it?
I'll just say this: like when you go to halftime, people are in the stands. There you have the jug machine flipping the ball, and someone's going to try to catch it. I mean, I'm telling you, it was like ghost town. No one was on the field.
Wow.
Nothing. It was like so more quiet. The music was off. The fake crowd. It was like it was nothing going on. It was
eerie.
so bizarre. Yeah, and like when the Bucks came back on the field, you didn't hear any boos.
No boos.
They just kind of came on, and I was like, oh my God, second half's about to start because you don't hear anything. Like it was so strange.
Oh man, well Larry, thank you so much for joining us. I know I hit you up last minute, man, but you're the man. Check out. So when's that new article dropping on The Athletic today?
Yeah, sometime this morning. Actually almost finished it, and so it's look. I go out and use the NFL Next Gen stats to kind of show Breeze's day, show Kamara's day, and show Mike Thomas's day. So go check that out. theathletic.com/New Orleans.
Boom, there you go. Great Saints coverage on there. They got Larry, they got Jeff, they got Kat, everybody holding it down. Huge thank you, Larry Holder.